What's good, YouTube, and welcome to the house. I've just finished working out and I heard there might be a monster that power creeps Seraphinite in this card update. I was told, John, there's an insane card, you gotta go look at it. So here we are looking, and apparently there's a ton of new cards, and we start off with a pair of Link monsters. Continuing from yesterday, the World Legacy support continues with the introduction of the Troymares. Alright. We've got Troymares Goblin, Wind Fiend, Link Effect, a Link to 1300 left and right, two monsters with different names. So this fits into any deck. That's about as generic as it gets. You just need two different names. You like tour guide, another card, bam. That's straight up out already. That's off the top of my head, of course. Terratops at one, but there's so many different ways in this world just to get two different monsters. Goblinberg, for example. I think maybe Lightsworn will abuse that the most. If this card is Link summoned, you can discard one card. During the main phase of this turn, you can normal summon one monster to zone this card points to, in addition to your normal summon or set. If this effect was activated while this card was co-linked, you can also draw a card. So your discarding of a card gets rewarded by drawing a card if you were co-linked, which to get him out in the mid zones, he might have been co-linked. Like if you just have a downward pointing arrow, I guess not. So like getting him co-linked is relatively not the easiest thing in the world, but he becomes an exceptional transition piece as he lets you normal summon a monster that he points to, like to the other zone that he points to. So lining up your field might be a little more difficult with them, especially if you're trying to avoid arrows that are pointing downwards and he's trying to transition your field. But overall, I think this is just an amazing card so far. The second effect. Co-linked monsters you control cannot be targeted by card effects. So a bonus second effect. No drawback at all. You're just discarding a card. So I guess like versus Brilliant Fusion. Brilliant Fusion, you have to play Garnet, but you're not losing advantage and you're commonly gaining advantage by the card that goes to the graveyard with Brilliant Fusion. But this doesn't get stopped by Spell and Trap Destruction. This can get stopped by monster negation, I suppose, but it's likely that turn one he's just going to continue on and do what he's trying to do. It's unlikely that he's going to get slammed to the point where he doesn't get you the advantage you're looking for. I guess if you Ghost Ogre it, it would no longer be co-linked, so you wouldn't get the effect there. Really good card though. This is not to be underestimated. A Wind Link 2 that takes just any two monsters with different names. Good design on this card. This was very well made. And then we have the Troymares Mermaid, a Water Fiend Link effect, a Fiend Mermaid. All right, so these are both fiends I see. It's just a Link 1. Wow, that's easy. Any Troymares monster except for Troymares Mermaid, so it can't go into itself basically. You can only use this card's first effect once per turn. If this card is Link summoned, you can discard a card, special summon any Troymares monster from your deck. All right, I like where that's going. Access anything in your deck, and it's really easy to bring out. If this effect was activated while it was co-linked, you can also draw a card. That same self-replacing discard a card, draw a card. So you're kind of unbricking your hand a little if you are co-linked. And a lot easier to co-link that card as it has a downward pointing arrow. Monsters on the field that are not co-linked lose 1,000 attack and defense. So there's a drawback on this card, unlike the first card. Troymares Goblin, wow, it's just really good. We've got more Troymares here. All right, so it looks like this archetype's kind of coming together. Troymares Griffin, an attack of 2,500, Link 4, top, left, right, bottom. So kind of that firewall stats, giving your opponent a zone. And it takes 2+ monsters with different card names. So you could just use the Decode Talker and one other monster. It looks like it's still relatively generic to go on up into. You can use this card's first effect once per turn. If this card is Link summoned, you can discard a card and target a spell and trap card in your graveyard. Set that card on your field, but it cannot be activated this turn. I was about to get way too hyped. If this effect was activated while this card was co-linked, you can also draw a card. So the same self-replacing theme here. That's really nice that they're just supporting you linking up so much. And these arrows certainly make it easy to connect on your own field, especially if you have that one downward pointing, you know, Link one. This is definitely an easy one. Special summon monsters that are not linked cannot activate their effects. A walking floodgate-like effect of a Link 4. You know the joke Firewall Pass from Farfa's channel? Well, this pass might be a lot more threatening. That's pretty good. That's really good. All right. Troymare Unicorn. A Dark Fiend Link effect. See, I would think this one would be the light and this would be the dark. They're kind of throwing us for a loop on picture versus what these cards are. That's pretty cool. They're all fiends so far, though. 2+ monsters with different card names again, but it's a Link 3 this time, so you could like Proxy Dragon in any card that's not a Proxy Dragon. You can only use this card's first effect once per turn. Although, why would you Proxy Dragon when you can just use Troymare Goblin? Troymare Goblin's just going to change the game. That card's crazy. So you can only use the first effect once per turn. If this card is Link summoned, you can discard a card and target a card on the field, return it to the deck. If this effect was activated while this card is co-linked, you can also draw a card. This might become way bigger once you get effects like, you know how you can synchro on your opponent's turn, and there's cards that let you Xyz, like Xyz Universe. We're eventually going to get cards that let you Link summon during your opponent's turn, and this will definitely become more relevant then. It might just come out of the woodwork as a great card. While you control a co-linked Troymare monster or monsters, the number of cards you draw during your draw phase becomes equal to the number of those monsters with different names. That is interesting. So, it's dependent on Troymare monsters, and you have to control the Troymare monsters for this effect to happen. So, it at least bumps you to 1, if not 2. More Troymares. Why am I not surprised? Just give this deck everything at once, why don't you? This deck's insane. Troymare Phoenix, a Fire Fiend Link effect, Link to 1900 top and right. So not the most ideal arrows going away from co-linking unless you're on the left side. So I guess if you start on the left side, you'll want to keep that in mind. 2 monsters with different names. It's the nice looking flamingo there, it looks like. Well, it's a phoenix, but it looks like a flamingo to me. You can only use this card's name's first effect once per turn. If this card is Link summoned, you discard a card, then target a spell or trap card your opponent controls, destroy it. If this effect was activated while it was co-linked, you could draw a card, so not the best. It's like a MST-like effect. Co-link monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle. That's a bit bigger. Everything becomes a Spirit Reaper just while this is co-linked, including itself. If it said other monsters you control, I could see that, but that actually makes this card pretty darn good. That was nice. They're really building this up to where you have to like kind of construct what you're doing with it. And sorry for my crazy hair and sweating. I just got done working out, but man, that's awesome. Troymare Cerebus, Earth Fiend Link effect, Link to 1600 top and left. So kind of the mirror of this card. It takes any 2 monsters with different names once again. You can only use this card's first effect once per turn. If this card is Link summoned, you can discard a card, then target 1 special summoned monster in your opponent's main monster zone, destroy it. If this effect was activated while co-linked, you draw a card. Co-linked monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects. Wow. So if you have this duo out, you can't be destroyed by card effects, and you can't be destroyed by battle. You've got to like get targeted and spun. You've got to have something. Like Masterpiece can't out this duo. That's pretty darn crazy when you think about that. All right, enough praise of this deck. Let's see what else is new. We got some of the World Legacy stuff. We've got the World Legacy World Spear, a Dark Machine effect, level 8, 3000. You can only use this card's first and third effects once per turn. During damage calculation, when 2 monsters, including a Link monster, are battling, you can discard this card and your opponent's monster loses 3000 attack. Wow. So if a Link monster is in the battle, your opponent's monster will lose 3000 no matter what. That's actually pretty darn impressive. Your opponent cannot target other World Legacy monsters for an attack. If a monster or monsters is special summoned from the extra deck, special summon 1 World Legacy token, level 1/0/0 to each side of the field in defense position. If your opponent's already summoning, that kind of seems to give them an advantage unless there's something I'm missing there. Its hand trap effect, generic hand trap effect, is pretty darn impressive for battle. It basically turns anything into a monster as long as a Link, like an honest effect, because it's going to be damaged. As long as there's some kind of involvement from a Link monster. That's crazy that we have a generic kind of battle trap that does that much attack loss. World Legacy Inheritor. It's resistance against the World Legacy. The trap here that is shown. Target spell and trap cards on the field up to the number of co-linked monsters on the field, destroy them. So kind of a worse Heavy Storm. I think localized Trunade would overall be better, although getting rid of things for good is nice. We have Twin Twister, we have Cosmic Cyclone. I guess it requires setup, and I personally don't like that, but I could see why with all the Troymares and the setup, that's cool, but you're relying on your field lasting, and while there are cards to help that, I don't personally like relying on that for my spell and trap destruction. What do you guys think of the Troymares? They're insane. This goblin is generic, like, and will be played in many decks, but all these Troymares are great. Griffin and Unicorn are both pretty darn good. Almost every single third effect is good except for the Mermaids. That's because she's a Link one. Let's face it, she's a starter. She gets you out any Troymare. She gets you up into basically any of your twos here that you could possibly want. I really like this, and wow, it's just good. It's a really good setup. They did really well creating these. I am impressed. What do you guys think of the Troymares? I am really floored by these guys. Thanks for watching.